Will Wade ventures back to Clemson, South Carolina for the first time since he left, and he remains the Tiger King. Give me a hell yeah!
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Your post-game/Tuesday show, a victory show at that, is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. There's several more Q1 games coming up in the rest of the schedule. Perhaps you want to be in the building for those. Locked On College is the promo code. Gametime is the app. Get at it. What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Happy Tuesday evening. This is a post-game live show. We are celebrating the first Q1 win, the first ranked victory, and one hell of a win it was in Clemson, South Carolina. 80-76 over the Tigers in overtime. Will Wade is on the board in terms of a big win as the head coach at NC State. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. I will start us right here, Kenton. Hell yes. Man, did we need this one tonight, especially, coming off of that tough loss against Georgia Tech on Saturday. We said that if you were to win a game like this one, it would kind of erase the sourness from Saturday, and you did exactly that. Going on the road and facing what is a tough Clemson team. They were undefeated in ACC play up until this point. And NC State, flat out, they were the better basketball team tonight. Actually led for, the wide majority of this game. Got a little bit too dicey there at the end of actually both halves before you got into overtime. But they found a way to get it done. Man, we needed this one, and it sure does feel good.
I never thought I'd see the day that Frank William Wade and Joe Exotic have something in common, but these two are famous Tiger Kings, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a hell yeah in the chat. This is what I love to see. This is what I absolutely love to see, because Grayson and I have talked about this ad nauseum. It doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to beat everybody by 30. It is simply a matter of winning the basketball game. Do everything you can. Fight, scrape, and claw. And here's the greatest example. Here's the greatest example, because people say, well, you give these vague generalities and you don't talk about stuff that directly translates. Grace and I talk about effort all the time on this show. Effort, effort, effort. Are you willing to die for the loose ball? Are you willing to hustle for the tips and deflections and all that stuff? We were up at the end of overtime by about, I want to say it was either 4 or 6 points. A loose ball pops out under the rim, and Darian Williams is on the floor fighting for it when the game is decided. That's what I'm talking about. From start to finish, that effort will get it done. From start to finish, you will not, this team is not constructed in a way that everything will be easy. This team is not constructed in a way where we've got the #1 recruiting class and we're going to be so much more talented than everybody. As long as we show up and things don't, shake horribly from deep, we'll be fine. This is not that team. But this is a team that's constructed in a way that the talent is there to win. The talent is there to come away with wins like this. The talent is there to compete in the ACC and in the NCAA at large. The talent is there. Now, what I'm hoping for out of this game more than anything else is just continue this effort night in and night out. When you look at what this game was statistically, you don't see a ton of things that make you say, man, this is a statistical anomaly for NC State. We've never seen this before from NC State. Nothing really stands out in that way. 35% from deep, 44% from the field, 88% from the line. I guess 88% from the line would be the aberration, but we were out-rebounded by 8 rebounds. That's a pretty standard thing. We got 13 assists to 7 turnovers. Pretty standard thing for us. We generated a lot of turnovers by, getting some easy deflections going the other way. Those are things that we talk about all the time with this team. The thing that we don't see all the time, this all-out, relentless effort. This I'm a die about it effort. This I'm a dive on a loose ball. I'm going to do everything I can. This I am going to fight and not only strain physically, but mentally to do the right thing, to be where I'm supposed to be. There were multiple points in this game where you could have easily seen this NC State team give up and say, all right, we've seen this song and dance before. We had a lead. Things went downhill. This is a good team. Let's pack it in. Let's fold it up. But instead, we had guys do what they need to do. Ultimately, this was a great team win. Ultimately, we saw lots of things that you can build off of, and you can get this guy going and this guy's confidence picked up and all that. Ultimately, there was a lot of that. But more so than anything else, I look at this game and I say, the effort from this game, if you can replicate this amount of intensity each game, I mean, if you could just play the Georgia Tech tape before each game, apparently, we'll get something. This team will be all right. A team that won 9 straight games in Clemson, we come through and say, walk in your trap, take over your trap. Quadir Copeland was talking crazy on IG Live, and brother, you deserve it. Talk your talk. Walk your walk. You did it. You got yourself a big win, and hopefully this is what Will Wade was talking about. We're doing the process. We just need that one, and it's going to build, and it's going to stack. And this was that one. Now let's stack it and flip it and build it on top of it.
Yeah, and we're actually planning to have a deeper discussion about how you continue the momentum, because what we saw tonight is a lot of, what we've been expecting to see for the most part of the season. And again, going into Clemson, which is a tough environment, they're a tough basketball team, and I expect them to probably have a very strong finish in ACC play when it's all said and done. That's not an easy place to go in there and win a basketball game. And like I said earlier, we were the better team for the majority of the entire night. We led this game for 29 minutes and 24 seconds. And that gets a little bit crazier when you consider that we didn't hit a shot in the last 8 minutes of regulation. Now, that's what I'm talking about, where it got a little bit dicey, but you found a way to get it done. You made the winning basketball plays when it mattered the most, and I think you know where I'm heading with that in just a couple minutes as well. But, Darian Williams in this game, a little shaky at times, a little clutch at times. That has kind of been the Darian Williams experience up until this point. But when we got into overtime, that's your playmaker. That's the guy that you emptied the pockets a little more than you probably had to bring a talent level like that to Raleigh. Was it perfect in overtime? No. But he hit a 3. He had a very key assist to Ven-Allen under the basket. I think he had a rebound or 2. Winning basketball plays. It wasn't pretty, but we got it done in the end. So shout out to Darian. Proud of his effort there in the latter half of that game. He finished with 17 and 6. Ven-Allen is my player of this game. 22 points on 9 of 12 from the floor. Extremely efficient. He had some massive free throws down there, down the stretch. At the end of that game, he had 6 boards. He played some very solid defense. That is the best performance I've seen from Ven-Allen this season. And he's already had some pretty solid ones, but to get the maximum potential and effort from him in a game like that one, you could see, dating back to the summer, why Will Wade was excited to see what else he could get out of the Ven-Allen tank, because Carolina, we all know they weren't doing it. So this is the perfect game to highlight. When you keep him in the game, when you play him on offense and defense, when you maximize that potential, he can be what was the star of the game for NC State on the road in a tough environment, a ranked game, Q1 win. Excellent, excellent game from Ven-Allen. Not to mention a couple of those assists from Darian to Ven-Allen under the basket was clutch all night. I mean, anytime that Darian is going up for a shot, or at least you think he is, and he has that very late dish to Ven-Allen under the hoop, it's easy buckets. Every single time. Clemson had no answer for it. It's kind of, irritating in the sense that we didn't stick with that game plan for more of the game than we did. But I say all that to say those two led the way for NC State, and that is why you bring them to NC State to help revitalize this program.
But Grayson, how many minutes did Ven-Allen have to play?
Yeah, let's get to the bottom of that before he gets screamed at by the light blue contingent. Why don't we?
Because there's a school right now with a losing record in ACC play. Cannot relate. By the way, losses to Stanford and can't relate. But there's a school that's always asking how many minutes he had to play to accomplish these things. And I think I'm just fine with him playing big minutes. You'll take that deal, Grayson?
I have horrible news. Ven-Allen Lubin played 36 minutes tonight. He had
Oh,
22
God.
points and 6 boards. Oh, my God.
Oh, leading scorer, tied for leading rebounder. Yuck, as the kids say. Oh, it hurts my feelings. It hurts my feelings so badly. Again, if only we could be like other teams who have losing conference records right now. It must be much better
Can't
over
relate.
there in Carborough. But either way, it's great time, great win, and what we ask for more than anything out of this team, consistency. And to me, if you can give this level of effort consistently, if you can give this level of mental fortitude consistently, right? I get it. These are 18 to 22, 23-year-olds. Nobody's going to be perfect. However, if you could simply get this effort of being dialed in and locked in terms of just the effort, I think this team is talented enough that if you can get that part of this thing sorted out, when we watched that Georgia Tech game, Grayson, we watched the team that we knew was less talented, but that was more motivated. We watched that. We saw that. It was clear. It was clear when you were asking yourself who was diving on loose balls, when you were asking yourself who was doing everything they could to get every advantage, who was running harder, who was fighting harder to get back in transition or to get out in transition and get their fast break. Who was doing those things? The answer was Georgia Tech. And in this game, it was clearly NC State. Yeah. Do you know how you weather the storm of that long drought? I mean, that drought that felt as long as the break between Lil Wayne releasing Sorry for the Droughts. If you know, you know. That's a reference for those who really know ball from back in the day. That's a deep cut right there. But do you know how you withstand that? By banking up with all of the good things. When everything is rolling and you're bringing that effort, you've now banked something. So that when that other team gets to rolling, when you're struggling, you're now in the position where it's like, damn, we can't hit a shot, but if we could just get to the line, we'll be all right. Man, we aren't getting to the line, we aren't hitting shots, but we've built up enough of a lead with the hustle and effort. We'll get back right. The shots will start to fall again. And ultimately they did. In overtime, we saw the shots falling in a major way, but you got there because the effort was there all night long.
And I'll tell you one last thing before we get into an ad read and then cover the rest of this basketball game. So you mentioned that Clemson out-rebounded us by 8. No, that's not true. Yes, they did. We had more assists, 13-9. But the difference right here for NC State, Clemson committed 13 turnovers, NC State only 7. Points off of turnover, 19-6, NC State. That's your winning basketball plays right there. Matt Abel had a couple big steals. Quadir Copeland had a couple big steals. And a lot of these resulted in massive foul shots that we converted on in this game. 22 of 25 at the charity stripe. That's 88%. It's the little things that amount to big things, especially on the road in a ranked game like this one. I'm very proud of the Pack tonight. Much more to touch on after a quick ad read, but 80-76 in overtime. I cannot emphasize enough. This one, it feels good. Stick with us. We're going to get into a quick ad break, and we'll be right back to discuss more of the inner workings of this basketball game. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. All right, our only post-game sponsor tonight is Gametime. There is simply nothing like the college basketball season, the tailgates, the packed-out arenas, and being right in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands in the stands, the moments that we all remember forever. But actually getting tickets, well, that part can be the frustrating part. There's long queues, logins, and passwords to have to remember, and prices jumping off at checkout. However, this is where Gametime comes to give you, the fan, the advantage. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college basketball tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The app is super incredibly easy to use. You can go from browsing to buying tickets in just a number of taps. You'll also love being able to see the view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. There's also the zone deals in the app that will stand out to you. You pick the section, Gametime picks the seats, and you will save even more. You can see all of your favorite college basketball teams this winter for tickets starting as low as just $25, making it easy for you and your loved ones to plan a day trip. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. As always, terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. That's Gametime. All right, middle portion of our post-game Tuesday show, 80-76 in overtime over the number 18 ranked Clemson Tigers. Already told you about Darian Williams. He had 17-6, a very clutch 3 there in overtime, very clutch assist to Ven-Allen under the hoop. Ven-Allen finished with 22-6, like I said. Paul McNeil, he had 10 tonight. He was 3 of 7 from downtown. In my opinion, I really wanted to get more out of him. I wanted to create more looks for him, and I thought, maybe the last shot that Darian took in regulation, it was a clean look. It was the look that we wanted. It was wide open, but just missed it. I don't know. Maybe look for Paul on that one. I think you keep a hot shooter hot. Maybe we go home earlier than we already did. But I say all that to say, Paul McNeil is steadying, around this time of year. Like early in the season, he was very streaky, although some would probably say he's still kind of streaky. But I'm seeing more of a plateau now from P2. He's right around like the 8 to 10, 12-point range. If we can keep him there and extend on that, who knows where we can take this team. Trey Holloman tonight, I think he scuffled a little bit. He had some big free throws that he drew there late in that second half, but just didn't really have a great feel for the game, I thought. Some of the threes he took were kind of ill-advised. He finished with 6 points, and we needed every bit of those 6. But I don't know. I was kind of shocked to not see any of Allen Breed tonight. What are your thoughts on that, Kenton?
I was surprised by that as well. And it's – I look at this, and I'm surprised to not see Allen Breed, but also my boy, Matt Abel, came through once again in a variety of ways.
Plug.
This is a young buck. The moment ain't too big. You're in Little John. They ain't lost there in quite some time, and you come through once again. Again, I think that Breed should be playing more. I really do, especially with, Trey Holloman having some injury issues and, coming back and all that good stuff. I'm much more of a believer in work guys in slowly as opposed to like, hey, we need you back in basically heavy force right away. But I'm fine with that. I'm not too upset about that. I really do think Matt Abel is the future of this team, man. He's
for sure.
I mean, he's just a dude. He's just every time you look up, and like I said, in these types of games, what you get from a freshman is always going to be a bonus. And mind you, I understand that he's the show-stopping freshman. This is a showstopper that you got very late in the process. This ain't the showstopper that you were on his trail since his sophomore year of high school and you get, because that's a different story. That kid is like, hey, no. What I get from you is not extra. What I get from you, I need from you. I expect it from you. As opposed to, it was last minute. Hey, things didn't work out with your last coach. The boy got canned over there. We got something for you. And so to see him show up in this moment, how is no moment too big? How is no moment too big for a guy that young? Did he get a little loose with the ball at times? For sure. Yeah, I'll acknowledge that. But the overall play of a guy that young in this moment, man, I'm telling you, he's going to be trouble for the ACC. He's going to be trouble for the nation as he gets a little stronger, a little bit better understanding of his pace of play, because when he's at his play, when he's playing at his pace, getting to his spot, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night for you. Sometimes he speeds that clock up because he's a young guy, but when he gets to his spot, he's really good. And so, again, I would have liked to see more of Allen Breed. I really would have. I would have liked to see maybe, and I hate to say, to take minutes off a guy's plate, but at the end of the day, Trey Holloman is playing like he's got to knock some rust off. Will Wade's the head coach. I'm going to trust him in his decision. But it to me, it feels like maybe ease him back in and kind of let Breed and Abel handle things from here for a minute.
Yeah, and to your point, the scary part is Matt Abel is still learning. Like, he's only still just picking up piece by piece, game by game, and getting incrementally better. Just wait till, it really clicks for the kid. I mean, I can't wait to see what that might look like. He had 6 points and 6 boards tonight. Musa Sanye was in the game for some decent parts. He struggled a little bit, but, having a big body alongside Ven-Allen when they're playing well together, the double big lineup, I thought it was effective for NC State tonight. And so, I don't know, maybe you see more of that moving forward. I know large portions of the fan base have been asking for that quite frequently. Quadir Copeland, not just any junkyard dog, but our
junkyard
dog. I know Clemson fans are in their feels. I had boots on the ground down there in Clemson, and they could not stop talking about number 11 in red tonight. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Why do I already hate him so much? I said, oh, yeah, get ready. It only gets worse for y'all. 16 points tonight, 4 boards, 6 assists. A couple of these assists, like I said, sometimes he'll just get up in the air, and you have no idea where the basketball is about to go, but it'll find its intended place, and you got P2 bearing a 3. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he stays, somewhat consistent with it. At some points, he was a little loose with the ball at times, but found a way to be, again, one of the best players on the floor for us. Hit some very clutch free throws down the stretch. I think he hit almost 7 of 9. It felt like he hit every single one he took, but 7 of 9. He was a leader tonight. He had that bulldog face on him like he always does. He wanted this one. To Kenton's point, if you've already peeped at his Instagram Live, he had some things to say about Clemson, just a character in every sense of the imagination, and I'm glad he's playing for us, not anyone else. Quadir Copeland, leading the way for this team again. And I think that, at times, like, he does get a little bit out of control. He's a little bit of a bull in a china shop. But tonight, I thought he was a very much steadying presence for us, because there were times where it felt like Darian was kind of out of sync when, shot selection, trying to find the right time to either pass it, take it to the rim, or do whatever else you wanted to do with it. But when Quadir had the ball, the offense kind of made sense to everyone else. It seemed like everything just flowed out. It's been that way the whole season. Tonight was no different. I thought Quadir Copeland was excellent yet again for NC State. Again, the glue guy and also the engine.
Yeah, if you could tell me that Quadir Copeland's going to give me 6 assists to 1 turnover and the efficiency that he's shooting from, I'm going to take that every time. I'm going to take that every single time and twice on Sunday. And speaking of efficiency shooting, my Matt Abel stock is doing pretty good. It's doing all right. But Grayson, your Terrence Arsenault stock, do you want to guess what he's shooting from deep since January 6th? Very odd date, I know, but January 6th going forward, do you want to take a wild guess what Terrence Arsenault is shooting from deep?
I'm going to say it's like 70%. I know it's way up there.
That man is 7 of 9.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Red hot.
He is 7 of 9 from deep. Brother, let it fly. Let it. He's out there to be the ultimate 3-and-D guy. That is what his role is, and he showed it tonight. He showed it tonight with some very high-level defense and all that stuff. He's a guy that plays and defends like a poised senior. The numbers don't always show up for him because he's not a guy that takes a ton of risk, but he's going to stay in front of you and he's going to challenge that shot. So it may not show up in the box score as, oh, man, Terrence Arsenault got X amount of stops, but he's going to make it difficult on opposing guards and even opposing bigs sometimes with how much we switch. He's going to make it difficult to go ahead and score on them. So ultimately, I think that, he's a guy as well. This team, this group, right? I say a lot, live by the 3, die by the 3. Teams that are really good at shooting, sometimes they get so caught up in this idea of we're good at shooting, so that's all we can do. This team is almost the opposite of that to an extent, especially when they're playing their best basketball. It's almost like they're turning down the 3 because they want to get into the paint. They want to mix it up. Quadir Copeland wants to take those smaller guards in the lane and says, hey, let me tell you about the good news of our Lord and Savior. Time to baptize you, brother. He loves doing that. He loves dragging those smaller guards down on the block where he knows he has a length advantage. Darian Williams, the same way. He could give it to you inside, outside. Either you're too big and slow to guard him or you're too small for him to not back you down. He loves doing that. So the way that this team can get to their spots on the inside is impressive, and it's definitely a compliment to the way that we score from the outside as well. So even on a night like tonight, where it's not necessarily your best shooting night, you're not shooting great and all that good stuff, but when you do what you do in terms of forcing your way to the inside, you talk about how many fouls we drew tonight, how we got to the free throw line. That's how. This thought of, yeah, we're good at shooting 3s, but that's not all we can do. Get to the paint. Get your tail in that painted area and make something shake. It's great to see.
And on that point, we really didn't take that many 3s tonight. Only 23. We had 57 total shots. And, we finally seemed to It's like, oh, well, Ven-Allen Lubin's already got, 15 points? Oh, well, that's working. Maybe we see how much more we can get out of that. Yeah, 22 points. There's a more, intense feeling to try and stretch out everything else you had working on the floor, not just forcing a three, an ill-advised three at that, whether early in the shot clock or heavily contested. None of that tonight. I thought the shot selection on the whole was much better, and you shot 43% tonight. So on the whole, I'm very proud of NC State tonight. I think they wanted this game more than Clemson, and it showed. The better team won this game tonight, and that was not the ranked one. It was us. And that's why y'all see it. I got that black hat on. These are the performances that we've been waiting to see on a more consistent basis. And so kind of where the conversation goes now, Kenton, how do you harness some momentum? Because that's been a struggle for us now. It seems like we get up and then we fall, and then we get up again, and then we fall again. We win a big game or win a game that we felt like we should win, or maybe we set a record in the process, and then you lose to Georgia Tech. So you win a ranked game on the road. It's a quad one win. How do you keep this momentum and keep pushing? Because 3 of the next 4 are on the road.
Let me make something clear, okay? There's a phrase that I learned from being a part of the greatest fraternity in the world, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Things easily acquired are lightly esteemed. What does that mean? Easy come, easy go, okay?
That's right.
Everything that this team wants is on the other side of doing the little things well. Everything that this team wants, it's not on the other side of Paul McNeil having 3 more 40-point games this season. It's not on the other side of that.
Yeah.
It's not on the other side of Darian Williams going 20 for 20 for 20 for 20 every other game. It's not on the other side of that. It's on the other side of, are you willing to make the proper rotation? There was a closeout on the 3 that made me it almost brought a tear to my eye, because Clemson had the ball, and I believe it was in overtime or towards the end of regulation. They were passing the ball around. One of their guys makes the extra pass, and it was 1 or 2 seconds left on the shot clock when the second to last guy gets the ball. So now it swings again. Grayson, how much time do you think is left when that last guy touches the ball?
I don't know, 3 seconds?
Oh, no. When the last guy touched the ball, it was 1 second and going down.
Oh.
And he's going to shoot. And the closeout, which I believe was done by Paul McNeil, wasn't just your standard, come in, put your hand up, make sure that he doesn't blow by you. It doesn't make sense at that point. It's the little mental detail of get in the air. Get in the air to contest that ball, because when you do, he's got nowhere else to go. So understand and have that situational awareness to do that little thing of, okay, I'm not going to do this if it's 15 seconds left in the shot clock. But in this situation, I'm going to sell out for this contest. Stuff like that. That's how you carry that momentum, Grayson. You won't always have great shooting nights. The whistle will not always be there for you to go to the free throw line and shoot 25 plus. The whistle won't always be there. We wear the red and white of NC State. We know the whistle won't always be there for that, okay? But what you can do is control what you can control more than anything else. And what you can control more than anything else is that effort. What you can control more than anything else is, okay, Ven-Allen Lubin, one of my biggest criticisms of him has been at times he goes up a little gentle. I need you to go up and be a big man. I don't need no puppy down low. We need a big dog. Boom. Throw something down on somebody. And that's what he did multiple times tonight. That is the stuff that I need to see. It's not just about, just make your shots. Oh, well, if the shots fall, if the shots don't. To me, it's about the effort, because if the effort is there every night, I will live with a game where you've got guys giving every single ounce, and it just doesn't go. It's not your night. The other team is shooting hot as fish grease, and you live with that. I'm fine with that. But what I see too often is a lack of attention to detail, a lack of effort, a lack of showing up in a meaningful way. That's never going to get you a win. And sometimes you'll play a team that's inferior enough that you can still come up with a win. We're beyond that now. You're playing with the big boys now. You're playing ACC basketball, and this is hearkening back to an old ACC where almost everybody and their mama was going to be in the tournament, despite the fact that this conference now has 17 teams. So, ultimately, I say that effort is where it gets to. And one last thing that I'd like, just a little bit, just a little bit. Darian Williams, can you give me a little bit of killer? Can you give me a little bit of killer? A little bit more killer. He played well enough down the stretch. He played fine. I'm not saying that he didn't play well. I'm not saying, oh, he didn't play up to his price tag. I'm not going to say that. I just need a little bit of killer. I just need a little bit of – he's a great dude. He's always smiling. He's always upbeat. Just give me a little bit of psycho. I want to see a little bit of – he wants to rip the other team's heart out. Those are the two things for me. The biggest is the effort, of course, but the other part of it, Darius, show me something. Show me that you're that sicko that I'm like, oh, he genuinely enjoys making the other team feel terrible about themselves. Because he just feels too nice sometimes. You know, he just feels too kind to the other team.
It's extremely well said. Attitude, effort, and intensity is how you carry this momentum. And there have been games where you could visibly tell a difference. Like, for example, take tonight and then watch the film back from the Georgia Tech game. We don't look like we wanted the game in the same manner like we did tonight. And so, I think, there's times where Wade's been kind of, I think, questioning the buy-in of his team through the media, kind of saying like, look, guys, I don't know if we're going to turn it around because I've done everything it feels like I can. And some of these messages are not quite getting through to them. Well, something got through to them between Saturday and tonight because the attitude, effort, and intensity was ramped up a couple notches. And like we've been saying, somewhat of the entire season, when they put it all together, and tonight, honestly, they didn't really put it all together. It was good enough to win, and there's something to be said for that. But when they put it all together, when they're clicking on all cylinders, they can get to, I don't know, maybe as far as like the Sweet 16 or further than that. They can play with the top 4, top 3, top 2, top team of the ACC. They can play with anybody if they continue to buy in. And I mean buy in. I mean, like Kenton's saying, diving on the floor for loose balls, not giving up on closeouts. In fact, getting to the closeouts on time and on target, making the extra pass, not forcing shots, closing or boxing out, I should say, sealing off the glass, even though we lost the rebounding battle tonight and still won. When you get that full team buy-in, which I don't think has quite happened yet, that is where things get dangerous. And again, if we hit that level, I guess we'll have to find out. But tonight, it looked like you started to scratch the surface of that. So proud of the way we played tonight. Very big ranked road win. Needed this win on multiple different levels, not just for your resume, but for team morale. You needed a win like this one coming off of Saturday. Because again, all considered, kind of just wipes out the result from Saturday. So we'll take that for what it is, but keep this thing moving now. 3 of the next 4 are on the road. You have to keep this momentum rolling. Attitude, effort, and intensity. This is the way. So coming up next to close out our Tuesday show, switching gears very briefly about football. I want to spend more time on this on our actual Wednesday show, but NC State picked up 2 more transfer portal commits. They seem to be very important. We'll tell you who they are after a quick word from our sponsors. Wrong button. Gotta love when I do that. I'm too fired up after this win. Okay. Last portion of our post-game live here. NC State football picked up 2 more additions from the transfer portal on Tuesday. The first one is a defensive tackle. Y'all have been asking, where's the defense? Are we going to have a defense? Are we getting anyone on defense? Yes. This is just one. There's more to come. Marshall defensive tackle Katron Evans has committed to NC State. This will be his 4th school in 5 years. Previously played at Jackson State, Charlotte, so he's already been within the state of North Carolina once. Played at Marshall this last season in 2025, and will join the Wolfpack for 2026. Kenton, how important is defensive line depth for this roster now? Because we've been waiting to see some.
It's extremely important. I've talked about this in the past, and don't get me wrong. I think we've matched the level of top-end rushers that from last year. I think we've either matched it or gotten close. But you cannot survive with one layer of really good defensive linemen. If you think I'm lying, look at the team that we played tonight. Look at Clemson football. They've got 2 guys. Not going to be in the green room very long. How'd their defense fare, Grayson?
Swiss cheese.
But why? Because even the best defensive linemen, even the defensive linemen that are known for having relentless motors, you're not going to play at a high level for 60-plus snaps a game, 50-plus snaps a game. That's just it's not really going to be a good scenario if that's what you're looking at. So I think that we do need more depth on the defensive line. But again, I do think that the top end talent is there. I think the top end talent is there, but the depth is also needed because we've seen this. We've seen this story play out for other teams. And here's the thing. With what we've done in the portal so far, hey, we're going to score some points. It's going – we're going to get what we want offensively. C.J. Bailey may break some records. Phillip Rivers may have to see if he got some more eligibility left to, make another comeback to make sure his records are safe. But as I see it right now, we need more depth in that front seven to kind of shore up and make sure, hey, we're not one injury away from being catastrophically bad, which that's been the case sometimes in the past couple of years. Grace and I have said in the past couple of years, hey, if this guy gets hurt, we're shot. And then that guy gets hurt. And it was like, well, get ready to allow about 28 a game. And that's exactly what happened. So this is a great pickup. This is a great pickup. You got a big fella, big run stopper, big hole plugger. That's what you need in there, the guy that doesn't jump off the stat sheet, but he jumps off the tape. When you watch those linebackers roaming free and you're saying, well, damn, how come nobody ever gets to that guy? Watch the big fella in front of him. Watch the big fella in front. This is what we got in this young fella, and a guy that is a very, very good run stopper, very good disruptor, more so than the playmaker himself that's finishing off the plays more often than not. But again, it's a good pickup.
Yeah, and first of all, I guess we got to shout out Tony Gibson for the acquisition here. Thank you, Coach, for helping us out later on down the road. But, I wouldn't say that Evans is like a first-round draft pick by any means, but we need depth badly on that defensive line. And to Kenton's point, you never know what kind of depth he'll be working, with during the actual season. You could be one injury away from being in a very bad spot. And so getting guys to come in and compete for spots is a really big deal, especially because, all told, we've gotten off to a relatively slower start, especially on the defensive side of the ball, up front, that is. So Katron Evans from Marshall, very valuable piece for depth, and certainly expect him to make some kind of difference there on the defensive line in 2026. The second addition is the big one. Oregon tight end Vander Plug certainly has to be on the all-name team coming up in 2026. Again, I want to talk more about Vander on our Wednesday show. In fact, I already have my cold open locked and loaded, ready to go, because this is a name that you simply do not forget. But the number one tight end that was left in the portal, NC State just snatched. And remember, we told you in 2025, NC State had the number one tight end room in the country. And Coach Locklear, the production he put out with Justin Jolie and Dante Daniels and Cody Hardy, it certainly seems like he might have just restocked possibly better than any of us could have imagined. You pick up the tight end Province from Montana State. That seems to be a great get. You now get the number one tight end remaining in the portal. Vander Plug was the top 10 tight end in the 2025 recruiting class. This is like a 4-star fringe 5-star kid out of last year's class. He did not play this past season with Oregon. He redshirted. So he does have 4 years of eligibility, whether you care about that or not, because, the transfer portal, it is what it is. But Vander Plug, he might be a plug-and-play guy. This might be your tight end that you just slot in and let the athleticism speak for itself. He can run by you. He can run over you. He can run around you. Any way you want to get it done, he can pass catch. He can pass block. He can run block. A pure athlete to replace Justin Jolie. We might have just got ourselves something here.
Hey, listen, like I said, we got so much depth and talent in these pass catching rooms. CJ's going to put up some numbers, okay? He's going to put up some numbers. And Grayson talked about what he is and as a with his skill set and all that. This big fella is 6'6", 242. Okay? Big fella. Big fella. All right. This ain't exactly this ain't exactly a guy that you could think of and say, oh yeah, that'll be an easy guy to bring down. And from what I've heard about him and from what I've seen on this tape, if you think of any recent NC State tight end, or if you were to ask me what NC State tight end does he most remind me of, there's a name that it may be a deep cut to some, maybe at the top of my others, Mr. Kerry Angela. Yep. That's the guy that I think of, because big fella, he can move, he's got soft hands, he can block a little bit. He brings a lot. Now, granted, we have not seen him play at the college level. So obviously we need to see all of these things translate to the college level. I'm going to tell you something. 6'6", 242, that'll work. That's a good frame to start with. You know what I mean? If you're telling me that I got tabula rasa, a blank slate on which to build, that's a pretty good piece of stone with which I have to carve and work out a great tight end. So, Mr. Blue, welcome to Wolfpack Nation. Doran think he me for real because, that's how I made NC State win 10 straight championships on college football 26. I went to California. You got to get your gold rush out there. They got some ball players that being close to home don't matter. So, me and Doran, he took a note out of my playbook by going out to Cali to get him one.
Sounds like Doran's been mashing Send the House many times this offseason. He's picking up some pretty primetime recruits here out of the transfer portal. Okay, yeah, like I said, I want to spend more time on these two coming up on Wednesday's show. That will do it for us here tonight. I know it's late. We all got work tomorrow, but you got to take time to celebrate a ranked win on the road over number 18 Clemson, 80-76 in overtime. Will Wade finally got him one, a quad one win, a ranked win over his own alma mater, the Tiger King, and still Mr. Frank Williams Wade. Like I said, that'll do it for us here tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. If you work with anyone that is a Clemson alum tomorrow, let them know something at that water cooler. These are the moments we've been waiting for, right? Will Wade told y'all, yeah, when we get to the water cooler, we're going to tell y'all, yeah, we thumped y'all last night, and you got more coming. Tomorrow, that's your moment. I know I already got somebody in mind. I'm going to let him know something come Wednesday morning. So I hope y'all will follow me along with that. We will see y'all tomorrow on Wednesday. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.